On the record.
Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of Hamilton City Council. It's February 12th, 2020, 6 o'clock. We're in the City Council chambers at 345 High Street in Hamilton. There is one public hearing this evening. It's on the annual action plan update, which is the CDBG and Home Funds presentation. Roll call, please.
Pullman,
Present.
Fear,
Present.
Vaughn,
Present.
Ryan,
Here.
Nab,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Moeller.
Present. We'll start off with an offering of prayer by Councilmember Carla Fear, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able.
Dear Lord, we give you thanks for all the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities bestowed upon us. Please guide us through our business at hand this evening. Amen.
Thank you. We have a special presentation this evening, and it's the Black History Month presentation. We've got a special speaker, an historical figure in our city.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, esteemed colleagues, family, and friends. Black History Month celebrates the achievements and continued excellence of African Americans in all communities. As you passed through the council doors today, you undoubtedly noticed the profiles of African Americans from a broad range of occupations who have contributed to the success of Hamilton, Ohio. In this edition, we celebrate a musician, Roger Troutman, athletes Jim Boxcar Bailey and Alex Boo Ellis, councilperson Archie Johnson, humanitarian Denise Crew, civil servant James Jim Williams, and attorney Letitia Block. Tonight, the City of Hamilton would like to acknowledge an individual whose service has impacted the community and continues to make a difference. Retired firefighter Reverend Martin G. Sutton Sr., firefighter, father, husband, minister, and friend. Everyone, Reverend Sutton.
The Honorable Mayor Moeller, City Council members, fellow citizens, good evening. I'm really floored with this request for me to speak before you this evening. Before I begin, Mayor Moeller, may I have the liberty of giving a little disclaimer for this speech?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I am legally blind, not totally blind, considered a low vision person, which is a euphemism for blind in one eye and can't see out of the other. So be advised, and further, each of you is a silhouette. Your face is a silhouette. I cannot discern details of your face. Okay? So be advised. If you hear something that you don't like or that rubs you the wrong way, don't waste your time in rolling your eyes or looking down your nose at me. I can't see you anyway. Thank you. But I rise with a grateful heart, thanking Mrs. Jean Pope for the invitation to speak this evening with regards to my participation as a Hamilton firefighter paramedic. Now, I will be brief. I know you've heard that before, especially from a preacher. I will be brief. But I thank God for the grace which allowed me to become a Hamilton firefighter paramedic. First of all, I want to say that I loved the job. As intense as it became at times, it was not a good job. As I mentioned before, it was a great job. The only thing that I can recall at the moment that I really didn't like about the job, which was very much a part of it, was having to make runs after midnight after having a tiring, fatiguing day, responding after midnight. But that's a norm for most firefighters. I loved the people I worked with. I enjoyed their presence. I enjoyed the camaraderie, the many hours that we shared expressing our concerns regarding personal, family. We loved each other's presence. I was well respected, as I have always governed myself to always respect others. We enjoyed the excellent training that was provided by the city for the firefighters. I enjoyed just working hard, helping people. For this, I am very much appreciative. Thank you for your patience. The job of firefighting and paramedicing, if you will, is not a thankless job. People appreciate what you do, especially when you're helping them directly. I'm almost finished. See, I told you I'd be brief. I enjoyed the time that we spent both working and leisure. Serving the city of Hamilton was truly a blessing to me as a firefighter paramedic. It was a privilege as well as an honor to have had it. And lastly, I am grateful to be a citizen who lives in Hamilton, where the responsibility for the protection of life and property lies in the hand of a great organization of caring, competent, compassionate, professional members. That is the Hamilton Fire Department. Thank you. God bless you.
Certificate of appreciation. And Director Pope, I want you to come up here because you did not introduce yourself
Oh, I'm sorry.
and your role in the city, because you're obviously very valuable to all the city employees. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, sir. I'm Jean Pope. I am the Director of Civil Service and Personnel.
Now, first off, you definitely are a pioneer in the city. We thank you for paving the way, and you are a leader of the fire department. Obviously, a lot of them still care about you. I mean, all these young guys are here, probably heard legendary stories about you, most of which I'm sure were true. But also, this man is a minister in this city, and he has stepped up when your church needed somebody to fill a role before another minister came in to take over the church. But, so you've been a leader at work, at home, at play, in the service of the Lord. So, this man is truly one of the finest leaders in the community. Now, City of Hamilton, Ohio, certificate of appreciation to Reverend Sutton for his years of service in the fire department and his commitment to bettering the community. So myself as mayor on this 12th day of February 2020, and acknowledged by all members of council. So we proudly give this to you And I gave you a proclamation a few months ago too, didn't I? Yes. So, right, so it seems just like yesterday. But a round of applause for this leader, this pioneer.
No, sir.
Thank you. All right. Now brings us to audience of citizens. We will not be having a natural gas report this evening, and it was going to be about, and we will have it sometime very soon, about the gas issue that we had a couple of weeks ago. So we'll have that, hopefully at the next meeting. Now, we have audience of citizens, and that's where individuals who wish to make comments may speak during this part of the agenda, or may reserve the right to speak when the item is up for vote on the council floor. All individuals who intend to address city council are required to sign this public speaking book. Each speaker is allowed up to 5 minutes. We have Wendy Waters Cannell. Do you wish to speak at this point in time, or only if there is a question when your particular issue is before council? Okay. Dan Hancock. Give us your name and your address and the issue you wish to address us.
My name's Dan Hancock. I live at 67 Herman Avenue in Hamilton, Ohio. I want to thank council there for when I had a bunch of potholes up and down between my house and the neighbors on each side. By the time I got home from council, they were already out there putting the blacktop in the potholes and that. But the other problem is now you got done putting that nice new Hamilton, Eaton and Millville intersection there, and then you paved all the way from there down to B Street. Looks very beautiful. But the big problem is somebody decided, well, after we get it all paved, we're going to go back and tear it up by taking 6 holes in there, and that, I guess there was valves that had to be replaced, and when they filled it up and then threw blacktop in it. Now you got 6 potholes up and down Main Street there. And when you hit them, you know you hit them. And people start dodging around, going over in the other lane to get around some of these potholes. And I mean, it looks very ugly. And if they're going to do that for the street levy here, why pass it? Because I mean, if you're going to go back and dig everything up that you just put in, and then you only half repair it, and just like on Hermé, the street behind me, they had a big water main break in that, and they couldn't find the valve to shut it off to repair the water main break. Well, when they did find the valves, they had to replace them. And when they replaced them, they did the same thing as Main Street. They threw a little bit of gravel in it and that, threw some blacktop on it. Now you got 2 potholes there, and the one, instead of being level, it's a mound. You drive over blacktop, it's about 4 inches higher than the street level. So, I mean, you know, if that's the way it's going to be, why put a street levy through?
Dan, sometimes there unexpected things occur underneath our streets.
Well, I understand that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Sometimes the unexpected occurs. And when you're in an old city, sometimes below the streets, you've got older infrastructure. Now, what we try and do is we try and do under the streets first and then pave on top of them. But unexpected things do happen. I know I have confidence in our city professionals that they're doing things in the right, common sense order. But even when you do that, there's a time when something unexpected does occur. And that's kind of what happened. You wish to address something, Mr.?
I was just going to say, it looks like Mr. Engel has something
Oh,
that
if he
he
would,
would like
he
to
is
add
the
to the
man.
conversation.
Mr. Engel?
Yes, I have some more detail in regards
Great.
to what happened on Main Street. Those excavations on Main Street were due to the gas emergency. The pipes had to be excavated and the water drained out of that in order to put the gas back into service. We had originally, and as a result of that, it was a temporary repair with just gravel put back in the excavation and regular it wasn't the final asphalt, it was just a temporary asphalt mix put in. We had originally scheduled it to be repaired this week in a more permanent fashion, but when in contact with the Main Street businesses, they requested that because this is Valentine's Day week, we reschedule that, so it's been scheduled for next week. So westbound Main Street will be closed between B Street and Eaton Avenue next week, probably for most of the week, in order for the contractor to go back in, excavate out the gravel material and put in low-strength mortar and then put final asphalt on top of it. So we do have a plan to get that repaired in a more permanent fashion.
So we were being responsive to a situation that had to be fixed. So we did the repair, then temporary, and permanent, and that seems to be a certain pattern. Fixed emergency, put some temporary on it, and fixed it for permanent when the time is right, when the weather is right, not on Valentine's Day week.
And Mr. Mayor, if I
Please.
may, on Hermay Drive, Jim, behind your home, I called and asked about the mounting, and it's the same occurrence. They repaired the valve, they mounted the soil and the gravel underneath it, and when the weather is correct, they'll come back and flatten that surface and put down a permanent pavement topping on it. When we have emergencies, the crews go out and do their work, and they can't be expected to fill it and have it be perfect within a day or so of when that emergency occurred. So the temporary fix is what I was told is what happened on Main Street, as Rich just explained, and they got on Hermay Drive, kind of behind where you live.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Loneman?
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman. I'm Jim Loneman at 701 Pyramid Hill Boulevard. Okay, I think for trying to get Rich trying to get the traffic timing on the both Main and High Street. It's got better, but still ain't good, real good. I give it credit. I mean, it helped a little bit, you know. Yeah, but also it's still partially bad, but the curve on 4th and Henry Street, on 4th Street, there's or Henry Street, there's across from the Mission, for 2 blocks there's a bunch of cracks in the curb, bunch of cracks. I mean, I haven't seen many cracks in the curb that many times in 2 blocks since other than that for ages, you know. And the happened was matter of fact, years ago they tried to fix that thing with they put blacktop on the cement part where the cracks were, you know, and a blacktop has come out of that part. And they fixed it for a while. It was good for a while, but then it went real bad again. And I was saying, why did they fix the whole curb, utility curb, you know? Because I years ago I was parking for the Mission, and I pulled in my back tire hit the curb, and it blew my tire out. There's a crack there. And the city won't pay for it, and I had to pay for it myself. It's bull crap, you know. They burned the tire too.
You are good at giving us locations that need to be looked at. You mentioned 4th and Henry.
Yeah, it's right across, right in front of the park, on 4th and Henry, on the park side.
I see Mr. Engel writing down that location, as he does whenever you do bring locations to our attention. So, Mr. Engel will take a look at it, and it'll be done. There'll be some professional people looking at it, and it'll look better, and the job will get done.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to check with you.
Thank you, Jim.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too. I see Jenny Beckman. Jenny, before you say, and I know you want to speak probably about the vacation of that, of the alley there.
Correct.
Between, Ross and, now, might be better if we, maybe hear the presentation first. I know this is a little bit out of order. I think it might be, well, I think it might be a little bit better because all of council might want to hear our director speak about, during the caucus part of the agenda, then it's a little bit out of order, but I think then that might be a good time for you to go ahead and speak.
Okay.
If that's okay with you, but you'll have your opportunity. I promise you.
Did you want me to explain now?
Well, I think it might be better after we
Wait,
hear the city
okay.
person first.
Okay.
You might hear an answer to a question you're gonna be asking all of us, and it just might be better to present it that way, if that's okay with you.
That's fine, sure.
Great. I will
Okay.
recall you then
Okay.
at that point in time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I have no one else who has signed the Audience of Citizens book. Just want to make a note on here, definitely, to recall you up here, Mrs. Beckman, at that time. All right, that takes care of Audience of Citizens. We now go to the consent agenda, which covers such matters as the approval of minutes, all staff reports, receive and file council information, the caucus reports, an information report regarding City of Hamilton support letter for the YWCA Hamilton project at 1570 Grand Boulevard. That was within our packets that we read. Before we vote, we're going to have the committee of the whole, and that allows City Council to ask questions about the items that appear on the consent agenda and the caucus agenda. And so we'll be going through most, if not all, those caucus agenda items, including the 2 alley vacations. And at that time, after the presentation, council may ask questions, provide direction, or comment on those reports. So I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be recessed, and the committee of the whole take place.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Fear. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. So we recess the regular meeting, go into the committee of the whole at 6:22. So we'll now go down the caucus agenda. And, well, first, we have to take a look at the situation of, before we vote, we're going to be polling number 2, because number 2 is involved with property that is, I believe, going to be conveyed to Self. And Mr. Brown and I, Councilmember Brown and I are on Self's board. And we talked about it earlier that we should have that polled and voted on separately by roll call. So let's just do number 1 right now, if that's okay. Nick, if you're ready to read that into the record.
Number 2, Mr. Mayor?
Well,
Would you like to do number 1 first or number 2?
yeah, well, let's just go ahead and do 2 first. We'll get that totally out of the way before we vote on all of it. Number 2 first then.
Recommendation relative to the disposition of property located at 227 North 11th Street, Hamilton, Ohio, 45011.
Okay. Who is going to be speaking about that particular item?
Is she not here yet?
On the screens, you can see photographs of the property that was acquired from the Butler County Land Bank. Self is interested in the party. That seems to be the issue that is before the council for the caucus agenda. And it looks like we have a director who wishes to say a few words about it.
Good evening, council, audience of citizens. Lauren Nelson was supposed to be here, but I think she got stuck in traffic. So really quickly about this, this is a property that the land bank acquired. I don't believe the land bank knew that it was in a historic district. And when it went to ADRB, they recommended not approving a demolition. We were lucky enough to connect with Self, and Self said that they believe that this is a rehabable building that they can get into the hands of a future homeowner. So that's the project that's on the table.
Okay. So regarding item 2, is there a motion that council receive that report and concur in the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Fear. Roll call vote on that item, please.
Pullman?
Yes.
Fear?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Nab?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Moeller?
Abstain. Abstain.
Motion,
Did you wish to abstain on that, Councilmember
Abstain.
Brown? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so 2 abstentions.
let the record reflect, Councilmember Brown and Mayor Moeller abstains. Motion adopted, 5-0, 2 abstentions.
All right. So now we go back up to number 1 for the remainder of the caucus agenda. Then we'll have to come out of the committee of the whole, reconvene the regular meeting, and vote on those 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Number 1. Who's number 1? Want to read that in the record, please?
Is a recommendation relative to a conditional use certificate for 1301 Grand Boulevard to allow the reoccupation of an existing vacant two-story mixed-use structure as a multifamily residence with the first floor commercial space on property located in a B-2 Community Business Zoning District Community Design Alliance applicant.
So this project is in a business zone district, so residential as a conditional use. But in addition to just regularly needing conditional use, this also, this property has a history of health and public safety issues. And so we've been working with the new property owner for quite a few months to work on a proposal to bring to Planning Commission and then ultimately to City Council for this building.
I know there's, I think, approximately 19 conditions the Planning Commission put on this particular.
Yes,
So
yes.
another example of Planning Commission looking at the situation and deciding some conditions that'll make it just a better project. Any questions or comments about this particular caucus agenda item?
Well, I can add a little bit more detail if you would like
Oh,
to.
please. Yes.
This is what the property looked like before. And there were 6 apartment units in it, and it was all residential, and 2 of the units were illegal units. And the proposal is 4 apartment units and adding commercial space, which is how the building was proposed to, or was originally built for, and is also what what Plan Hamilton calls for this area. And then they're proposing a exterior renovation that adds brick and stone, security cameras, and other safety measures. They also talk about, their proposal includes improvements on the inside, like granite countertops, tile flooring that looks like wood cabinets, things of that nature, trying to make this project a higher-end project.
Any questions about number 1?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I
Please.
do. Ms. Hayden, so it seems as though a lot of work has already been done on the property. Is that typical that work's done and then they seek approval?
It is there was some issues with work being done that we had to do a stop work order. However, I would say that it is not intuitive that a building that was used for residential would need to get a conditional use approval to be residential again. So it's kind of understandable, does that make sense? That they maybe didn't know. We always encourage people to reach out to us and get a zoning verification letter to make sure that they can do what they want to do in a building. But we can understand maybe where the miscommunication was.
Okay, and one other question. So their application said 5 apartments, but there actually be 4.
Correct. The proposal that was initially submitted to us is different than what ultimately you're seeing, because they worked with us over the past few months to get it to a proposal that the city staff felt more comfortable recommending to Planning Commission.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I was impressed, Liz, with the opportunity between South Hamilton Crossing and Route 4, the potential for that developing into a business district is kind of what the intent of South Hamilton Crossing would bring to that community. I was also glad to see that even though, again, they got the work out of order, it shows good intent, that what the new property owner intends to have as a result of the work and the proper permitting and all of those things that go along with it, to have an end product like this in the community that will spur other development in other perhaps single-family and multi-unit family residents, some other small businesses that would complement the community and things. So, again, proximity to the grocery stores, to the other community businesses that are there already to be able to help that area of Hamilton. So I'm glad that, again, it's taking place in a sizable building and that wasn't going to have to be torn down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we go to number 3 on the caucus agenda.
This is the Southeast Street Alley vacation. You'll see it highlighted in yellow. It is between Franklin Street and Ross Avenue Alley. The city has requested the vacation, and it has gone through Planning Commission already. Basically, the reason for the vacation is multiple. It has not been used as an alley for the past 70 years, and part of it is grass, and the other part is still a cement alley, but it is basically being used as like a private entrance to a single parking lot. So there's been also confusion for many years, probably more than 10 years, about ownership and who should be maintaining it because it doesn't look like an alley. So it's just caused a lot of confusion. So in an effort to, kind of clean up issues like this, the city has recommended, since it's not being used as an alley, to vacate the alley. And the Planning Commission did recommend approving the alley vacation request. However, one of the neighbors does object to it. The other neighbor that was involved is in support of the vacation. She wants to fence the grass area, which has become an issue for dumping and a lot of people walking through and dumping trash back there. And she's wants to fence it to kind of make it safer and make it less issues with litter. We have been working with the owner who objects to it. It is the owner that owns the property that's using it as an access point to our parking lot. And we have let her know that she is, if the alley becomes unusable at any point, because what happens when you vacate it is half of it goes to one neighbor and the other half goes to the neighbor. If they put like a fence up down the middle, that she could move her curb cut. And we made sure that that would not cause any issues for public safety, access to the building, and also we committed to making sure that the whole area would be cleaned before we transferred it to made it private property. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Yes, before we have Mrs. Beckman come up, when I looked at it today, and I just pass it sometimes driving on Franklin, and I just don't even see an alley. And actually, when I went down, I looked at the alley, it looks like there's a fence already crossing part of that alley. It looks like it's already pretty much been taken over basically by the property owners all the way down that alley. Because I'm pretty sure, I think I saw a gray fence totally crossing what would be considered an alley. But maybe I saw it wrong, but that's kind of what I saw. But any comments from council at this point in time before we have Mrs. Beckman speak? I wanted to have the director speak first so we could have a better introduction. Okay, Mrs. Beckman. Again, the rules of audience of citizens apply here. It's up to 5 minutes.
Well, my biggest concern is that the neighbor next door could take their fence and move it over and put it right down the middle of the entryway, which my building there was built in the 80s. So I don't understand why the city would not have, or would have allowed that to be the situation. I actually thought half of that alley was mine up until this came about. And now I've been told that none of it's mine, it's all the city's. And that the people next door who have a fence all the way down that will have to come out of their property and come over and maintain that whole strip just to cut it. And they can do what they want. They can put a fence right down the middle of it, and my 6 apartments there would not be able to get in.
A little confused. Did you say you thought you already owned half of it to begin with?
I thought half of that was mine, but I've been told it's not.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, half of it will be.
It will be,
yours.
but I thought it was already.
Okay.
But half of it's really, if they decide they want to use the other half, then my entry's blocked off. They would have to drive up over the curb, to get into the parking lot. And this, as Liz was saying, hasn't been used since, I guess, the 70s or 70 years. You know, the building was built in the 80s. Why would the city have allowed, you know, I mean, they're very particular on, you know, checking things and making sure everything's done to code. And, you know, I've been through it. There was a fire there. Everything was to a T had to be done. And it's like, why wasn't that done back then when that building was built?
It was dedicated as a public alley, and it doesn't appear to be used by the public now, and the condition that it is in. And
But
you-
it's been okay for, I've owned it since '03. I know probably 2 other people have owned it prior to that, and it's been the entryway for that property the whole time.
Director Hay, this has to be voted on by council at a future meeting, is that correct? Okay. So this is just for us to know that this is coming to us at a later date to vote on it. And maybe between now and that later date, you can sit down and talk to our professionals, and maybe we all better understand the situation. But drive past it,
There is no fence going this way.
I kind of, when I saw it.
There's not.
Okay, I must have seen part of somebody's yard, it looks like it's been
I
taken over
mean, I
the
don't
alley.
think the lady has put any fence
No.
up yet, and I
I don't know.
seriously doubt it, because she hasn't been in contact with the property on the other side. I actually called them. I actually called because I, you know, want to, if this goes through, you know, can I buy your little strip?
Well,
He really
It's all
didn't.
going to be a private
He did
deal
not
between
really want
private
to
citizens.
talk with me, so,
Okay, well, we still have to vote on this whole thing at a later date. So I'm
Okay.
sure that you'll have more questions and get them answered, and then we'll address it at a council meeting and vote on it.
okay, okay.
Right, thank you very
And
much.
then am I able to come to those meetings as
Yes, you
well? Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be on the agenda and
Okay,
at a future date, and it's on our website.
okay. Well, I think Liz gave me all the dates, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we go to agenda item number 4 on the caucus agenda.
Recommendation relative to a request to vacate a portion of Southeast Street Alley portion between Ross Avenue Alley and Franklin Street situated in the First Ward South Side, City of Hamilton, Ohio, City of Hamilton applicant.
Anyone going to be speaking on this?
And, okay, this is the second alley vacation. This is the first step in this one. This is Northeast Street Alley A and Northeast Street Alley B, so this has not gone to the Planning Commission yet. So this will go, this is the first step, then it goes to the Planning Commission, then it comes back to you all. So this, as far as I know, has not been, neighbors really have not been notified yet. Is that correct, Nick?
That is correct.
But it's just another example of us trying to vacate alleys that are not needed anymore, that are not being used as alleys, or we don't think they should be being used as alleys. You know, their access right out to Main Street.
And for the record, I know you're correct, but I don't think the neighbors got anything, because the one neighbor's a title company law firm. I was doing some business with them, and I said, did you know? And he said there'd been some conversation, but I'm not sure if he actually received all the paperwork yet. So that's in a very early stage of that taking place.
Yes, they will get letters to be invited to the Planning Commission meeting.
Did I skip over number 3? No, I did.
No.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the South Hamilton Crossing one.
Right.
So I did skip over 3, and I apologize for being totally out of order on that. So we've done 1, 4, 5, going back to 3.
Recommendation relative to request to, 1, vacate portions of the right-of-way, which includes Grand Boulevard, Dixie Highway, Central Avenue, East Avenue, Marshall Avenue Alley, and Pleasant Avenue Alley, and 2, dedicate a plat for the South Hamilton Crossing, SHX, City of Hamilton applicant.
Randall?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Rich Engel, Director of Engineering. If you recall, I was at the podium a few meetings ago talking about this very topic. At that point, we asked that you approve it and send it on to Planning Commission for their review and approval, which they have. So now we're back to City Council, asking for the legislation to be approved. So that's the purpose of this caucus report.
Any questions about this report? Thank you, Mr. Engel.
Okay.
Now we go to number 6, and you're also on that one too, is that
That's
correct? You want to read that one into the record so we got it?
Is a recommendation relative to the 2019 concrete repair program assessment roll.
This is the list of city streets proposed to be resurfaced this year using the 2019 funding sources, including the Ohio Public Works Commission. Most of the streets in the first 6 or 7 are in Highland Park area. We're following the construction of a water main project that was completed last year. And we're also including Emerson Avenue and Freeman Avenue and Bender Avenue. Those streets are in need of resurfacing as well. And the benefit of those 2 streets is that we don't have any water main construction proposed on those 2 streets. In addition, we have High Street. The High Street piece is from Martin Luther King Boulevard to Monument Avenue. That is not included in the assessment roll on this tonight's caucus report. It will have a separate assessment roll. And then we also have Eaton Avenue and Grand Boulevard, and if you recall, those were streets that in our December meeting discussed using some of the excess proceeds from the Southampton Crossing project to do these streets. So that's why they're on the assessment roll as well. So we're asking that the assessment roll be considered and then the Board of Revision be formed to review the assessments.
Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, I did. Rich, share, if you will, with High Street being a state route and being paved between Martin Luther King and Monument, is there any kind of state contribution toward what we're doing along High Street?
Yes, absolutely. We participate in what's called the Ohio Department of Transportation Urban Paving Program. So they identify state routes within communities like Hamilton, and it's on a 15 to 20-year cycle. So now we're in the High Street portion, and as we've discussed before on this particular project, we're going to mill off the entire length of High Street and around the corners and remove the crosswalks as they exist today. It's going to be resurfaced completely with asphalt, and then we're going to paint or stripe crosswalks like we do elsewhere in the city. It'll be better travel for the motorists, and it'll also be easier for us to maintain in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Engel. Okay. I'll set the motion that the committee of the whole be closed at this time.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Fear, seconded by Vice Mayor Pullman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Brown. Roll call vote that the regular meeting be reconvened.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Motion adopted 7-0.
Okay. I'm going to follow Robert's rules to a T, and we're going to vote on number 2 again because I think we should have come out of the committee of the whole before we voted on number 2. So I'm asking to pull number 2 out of the caucus agenda and vote on that one separately again, and I apologize for that, but we're going to follow the Robert's rules close to a T as possible. So is there a motion that council receive item 2 report on the consent agenda, caucus agenda, and concur in its recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Nab, seconded by Councilmember Ryan. And remember that Councilmember Brown and I have to abstain on that one, so roll call vote, please.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown.
Yeah, I made it kind of confusing. That's one that both,
Abstain.
both he and I have to abstain on. And I apologize for the confusion on that. And I abstain.
Moeller abstains.
Now that takes care of that the way it should have been taken care of. Now, is there a motion that with the exception of item 2, council received the remaining reports of the consent agenda, caucus agenda, and concur in their recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Fear, seconded by Vice Mayor Pullman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. So now we go to the public hearing, and I'll set the motion that the regular meeting be recessed and the following public hearing take place.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Vaughn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, regular meeting is recessed, the public hearing takes place, and it is 6:46. We came out of the committee of the whole in the regular meeting pretty close to about 6:40. All right, public hearing, want to read into the record, Mr. City Clerk?
Public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 annual action plan update for Hamilton, Ohio.
Okay, anyone in the audience wishing to be heard at this public hearing involving the 2020-2021 annual action plan? I believe we have at least one person who wants to speak from the city.
Good evening. My name is Tamika Hedrington, and I'm here presenting the fiscal year 2020 through 21 annual action plan for the city. Okay. In short, the annual action plan consists of, it was needed for approval for the city to receive Community Development Block Grant as well as Home Investment Partnership Program funds. The process itself includes a citizen input process, and that process includes random community survey, service provider survey, as well as a city website survey, and we did, but all three of those were available. We also conducted public meetings and tabulated any applicable information that was necessary to make decisions based on the information that we received from the surveys. CDBG in itself has 3 national objectives, and those objectives are to benefit low and moderate income persons, aid in the prevention and elimination of slum and blight, and to meet an urgent need. And to just be clear, the urgent needs are identified through the public input process. CDBG has in total 7 categories of eligibility. This year or the proposed year for 2020 through 2021, the city will address each of the 7 identified eligible activities. In talking more specifically about the public input process and attaining that information, we mailed out over 2,000 paper surveys, emailed over 600 persons who live, work, and/or play in the city. And in addition, we held 3 public meetings. Those public meetings were at Booker T. Washington Community Center, Primary Health Solutions, and Neighborhood Housing Services. We also presented most recently January 16th at the Planning Commission. Here you'll find a copy of the survey that we used. This was emailed plus mailed out to individuals, and we also received feedback on these when we had the actual public meetings. We had this survey, and it was in both English as well as Spanish. We received the greatest number of responses in regards to the mail survey from Census Tract 150. Here you'll find a history breakdown of CDBG funds. Will be level at CDBG, so the same as 2019, and will receive a slightly modest increase in home funds the upcoming year. Talking more specifically about the 7 categories of eligibility, you'll find that for the 2020 through 2021 fiscal year, the majority of our projects will be included in the public service category, and that'll be where the city addresses needs like transportation, youth services programs, as well as senior citizen programs and services. And I'm trying to think of everything. Transportation, youth services. Oh, also housing for the homeless. You'll also see that we have a couple big projects of new construction and also acquisition occurring through our home funds. If approved by the City Council, the Finance Department recommends that the City Council concurs with the Planning Commission's decision to approve the draft annual action plan update and funding recommendations. Any questions?
Any questions? And did you introduce yourself before you spoke?
I did.
Thank you.
Tamika Hedrington, if no one heard me.
Thank you for preparing this for council's review. Anyone else in the audience wish to be heard at this time involving the presentation of the annual action plan update? Anyone else in the audience? Anyone on council wish to make a statement or make a motion at this time?
Mr. Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Okay. Motion made by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Brown. I just want to say real quick, when you had that up there, it looks like at one point in time, we were getting $1.8 million instead of 1.4. And home funds were a little bit more in the past as well.
Yes.
That's a big difference when you get like $400,000 less than what we did in the past.
It is. We've been able to make it work though, so.
You definitely do. Okay, there's a motion and a second that the public hearing be closed. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. Public hearing is closed at 6:51. I'll set the motion as regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Fear, seconded by Councilmember Vaughn. Roll call vote on that motion to reconvene a regular meeting.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Motion adopted 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, we now go to council actions pertaining to legislative items, and I'll accept the motion on that one.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Ryan,
I move that a note be made upon the minutes that each member of council was furnished a printed copy of each item of legislation prior to its being considered at this meeting.
Second.
motion by Councilmember Ryan, second by Councilmember Fear. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. We now go to pending legislation and second reading of an ordinance. Then item number 4 regarding sidewalks.
An ordinance amending and supplementing section 521.06 of chapter 521 of the codified ordinances of the city of Hamilton, Ohio regarding duty to keep sidewalks in repair and clean.
Mayor,
Councilmember Fear.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Fear, second by Vice Mayor Pullman. Any discussion or comments about this particular ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted 7-0.
Go to agenda item number 5, second reading of an ordinance involving parking fine penalties.
An ordinance amending and supplementing section 351.99 penalty of chapter 351 parking generally of the codified ordinances of the city of Hamilton, Ohio relative to the parking fine penalties in the central business district.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Fear.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Councilmember Fear, second by Councilmember Ryan. Questions or comments on this particular motion? Hearing none, or this ordinance, hearing none, roll call vote.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted 7-0.
We now go to new legislation, first reading of an ordinance, number 6, involving the annual action plan.
An ordinance approving the City of Hamilton's annual action plan update for fiscal year 2020 through 2021, delineating the statement of objectives and proposed use of Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Program funds, and authorizing the submittal of said plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, City of Hamilton applicants.
As first reading of an ordinance, there'll be a vote at a later meeting on that particular ordinance. And number 7, first reading of an emergency ordinance involving longevity pay.
An emergency ordinance amending section 181.15 of chapter 181 of the codified ordinances of the city of Hamilton, Ohio regarding longevity pay and repealing section 181.15 as it currently exists.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 8, resolution involving the rules of council.
A resolution adopting the rules of council for the remainder of the council term beginning January 1st, 2020 and going forward, and repealing resolution number R2014-4-42.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Fear.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Fear, second by Councilmember Nab. Comments about this committee of the whole change in the rules of council? Hearing none. Roll call vote?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 9. It's a resolution involving an agreement involving the Miami to Miami Trail.
A resolution authorizing and directing the city manager to execute an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Hamilton and Butler County Metro Parks for the construction of the Miami to Miami Trail as described in resolution number R2019-6-34.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Vice Mayor Pullman. Questions about this one? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown, yes, Moeller.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 10, resolution involving safe routes to school grant.
A resolution authorizing, directing, and supporting the filing of a grant application with the Ohio Department of Transportation's ODOT Safe Routes to School SRTS grant program relative to Phase 1 of the installation of sidewalk, crosswalks, curbs, and ramps along the east and west sides of Van Hook Avenue from the Minor Avenue Alley to the Hoadley Avenue.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor Pullman.
make a motion that the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Any discussion or comment? I believe this is to assist Linden Elementary School students, which is a great thing. Any other comments or questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Audience of City Manager. City Manager, stand-in. Do you wish to say anything, Mr. Woodman?
I do not. Thank you,
Okay.
though.
Audience of City Council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to
Please.
comment, we talked about the Miami to Miami Trail, but I've also had a couple of calls, people that have questioned about the ongoing railroad tie removal on the belt line that kind of moved from the Hamilton Post Office area on Franklin and over toward Main Street, and then beyond Main Street through to Eaton Road and Eaton over to B Street. And the kind of call it the Rails to Trails commitment, our city clerk was instrumental in moving this legislation along, the acquisition of the property, the compliment that this will bring to Hamilton in moving walking trails and things. So I'm glad residents are noticing, and you'll see piles of railroad ties stacked. There's approximately 25 to 30 ties per stack, and those will be moved then and taken to be made into mulch and things. But again, it's noticeable, Nick, for all of your work. I wanted to thank you again, because as we posture our city for being more environmentally friendly, as we posture our city for trails and bicycling and walking trails and things, I'm glad people are taking note.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else on council wish to say anything at this time?
Mr. Mayor?
Please, Vice Mayor Pullman.
Just wanted to say, Monday, we buried my mother-in-law after she passed away there, and we were shocked to see a plan from Hamilton City Council and City Administration, and the family wanted to say thank you very much. It made me feel very welcome. So Scott Scramese came in, and Chief Mercer, you came in too, so we appreciate that. But it just was, for being a new member, it made me feel like part of the family. So thank you. Just want to say thanks to everybody here.
You're definitely part of the city family, and of course, Pullman, Gross, I mean, it's just, you got great families.
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it's the least we could do.
Thank you.
You have all of our condolences.
Okay.
Anyone else on council? Is there a request to go into executive session?
There is, for 3 reasons. To consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance.
to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property at competitive bidding if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal, private, or private interest is adverse to the general public interest. And third, to confer with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending court action.
Okay, thank you. Need an initial motion and vote that the executive session is necessary to protect the interests of an applicant and the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with an economic development project.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes,
Motion adopted 7-0.
thank you. And is there a motion that council recess the regular meeting and convene the executive session for those stated purposes by Mr. Wortman?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Councilmember Ryan. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Motion adopted 7-0.
Okay. It is 7:01. We're going to go into executive session. We'll come out of executive session only to adjourn the regular meeting. Thank you all for being here and being part of the process. And it is 7:01 again. Same before. Stairs? Okay. School.
1420. Not us.
They got one. $1.